Big day for us, y'all. I mean, okay. Start again. Drink with James, episode 21. Fuck, what am I saying? Okay, third time's a charm. Welcome, Drink with James, episode 21. If you weren't familiar yet, I am James. This is my drink. Welcome, Drink with James, episode 21. I just did this intro 4 times. My brain is a little fried. I actually just went back and checked. I have had 28 meetings this week so far, and it's Thursday. And yeah, I'm just, it's funny how the brain, it really is a muscle, and I struggle with memory, specifically like remembering people's names. And I've read books and things on it, and it is very much that like your brain is a muscle that can get tired, but can also get stronger. And there's all these exercises to try and remember people's names. One of them, this is pro tip here, when I meet someone and they say, hey, my name is Tim, in my head, I'll take Tim's name and I'll stretch it out. I'll go, Tim. And that kind of like forcing myself to stretch that name out a couple times in my head forces me to remember it. It's been the most effective thing that I have that works. The other thing is like picking out a quick like visual thing about them that's different. They've got a lot of freckles. They've got something going on with their hair, or whatever it might be, and trying to remember that, and then stretch their name out, Tim, whatever it might be. It works. Try it, and work that muscle out. So, speaking of working out your brain, we're going to answer some questions, which, y'all, I asked you to ask questions. That's a double ask. I asked you to ask questions, and I didn't get as many questions as I'd like. So there's a part of me that wants to just shut this thing down right now and say you don't get a drink with James this week because you didn't ask enough questions, and this is your punishment. But the show must go on, and we do have a few questions that were in the hopper, and a few from the archives, so we're going to roll into those. So media kits, before I get to that, I'll say I just got a new suit as well, and doesn't it look awesome? I think it does. The downside is it's wool, it's a fall suit, and it's about 95 degrees in here, so if I'm sweating, I hope that Tim can like pat my forehead in post. Media kits, a bit of a thing of the past, I think. Part of 4Card that is that like you have a private link where you can send anyone your 4Card, and the idea is that it would replace your media kit. That's our goal, because those are the most up-to-date stats that you could give a brand, plus press that you have, plus brand work, plus photos. So it kind of replaces everything you'd need from a media kit. But I understand the desire to tell the story in your own way and have a little more control over that. I would keep it pretty short. People don't want to read 5 pages. Your media kit is probably just something that can tell them a little bit about you, what your reach is, who you talk to, what you talk about. So I've seen media kits that are like 5 or 6 pages, and it feels like way too much. Because we've talked about the sales process before, and when someone's like, hey, I'd like to work with you, send your media kit. That media kit's not going to sell them. It doesn't have to have every single thing you do with all of your prices and all of this information. You're going to sell them, right? You're going to email back and forth, or you're going to jump on the phone. You're going to do whatever you have to do to get that deal across the line. Your media kit's not going to sell it for you. So give them a snapshot of what you do. Get them excited to talk to you. Give them some context so that they can ask the right questions when you do speak with them. But don't think that your media kit's going to be doing the selling for you. I wouldn't include your price in a media kit, no. Prices change, right? They change not only because of what you have going on that week or that month. Your price during September Fashion Week might be more expensive than it is in January when there's not a lot going on. So that's something to think about. Also, depending on the brand, right? If a really great brand reaches out to you, you might have a little different price than if a brand that you're not so excited about reaches out to you. So I would not put my pricing in a media kit. If you're sending a cold email to a brand and you've never spoken to them before, the email that I like to send, the subject basically says trying to connect. It's innocuous enough that people generally open it. And then the email copy can just be one paragraph. Hey, my name is blank. I run this blog. It reaches X amount of people. I love blank company that you're reaching out to. And I would love to be connected with the person who handles influencer marketing at that company. I took a stab in the dark and guessed that was you. If so, I'd love to chat. If not, could you please connect me with the person who handles influencer marketing? Very simple. You're giving the person a very clear yes or no. It's not, hey, do you want to work on this sponsored post? I have this crazy idea. It is, are you responsible for working with influencers at this company? Yes or no. If yes, let's talk. If no, please connect me. A strategy that works sometimes as well is actually reaching out to someone in the company that you know doesn't handle influencer marketing and ask, are you the person who handles influencer marketing? You know it's going to be no, and then they're going to send an email to their colleague and say, no, you need to talk to Josh over in marketing. And they send it over to Josh, and now Josh has to answer that email because it's been sent from his colleague. So it's something that we do sometimes that is quite effective. I found that what didn't work is sending really in-depth, long emails about exactly what you want to do before you've talked to the brand. You know, there's a Drink with James at some point where we talk about the sales process, and we talk about relationship, and then I can get there. Relationship and not justification, but validation, and then opportunity, and then actually closing the thing. So if you don't have a relationship with them, that's the first thing you need to do in that first email is try and get them to get on the phone with you or get a coffee with you, whatever it might be. Open up the line of communication so you can send that longer email. Yeah, I mean, Twitter's absolutely not dead. Now, is Twitter as important in the fashion influencer space as Instagram is? Absolutely not. No, it's not. But, you know, I think it's increasingly important to have a balanced following across a lot of platforms. It's great to just have a big Instagram following, but we've talked a lot about migrating that following to other platforms. Twitter's a great one to, you know, connect with your audience more and maybe be a bit more approachable. You know, you can answer questions, you can do things like that on Twitter that might be kind of annoying to do on Instagram. It's not a visual platform, but I also do think that they've made strides in the last year or so to be a little bit better for photos. So, you know, I think it's nice to throw up photos on your Twitter that you wouldn't put onto your Instagram and give your readers a little bit more context. So I definitely think it's an active, vibrant platform. It's something that you should be on and you should be trying to focus on a little bit. But that said, right now, Instagram and blogs are still, you know, they still rule the kingdom. And you still need to make sure you have a strong Instagram, a strong blog. And if you're in beauty, obviously, you know, YouTube is massive. And that's a little more specialized, but those three are really the top ones. And if you have a following outside of that, you're just going to be this kind of niche, and only that. Like, you know, my biggest following is on Tumblr, right? Well, Tumblr's had its moment in the sun, and that moment has passed. And so now, even though I have a fairly large following on Tumblr, it would be really hard for me to work with brands because they're not focused on Tumblr, because nobody's really focused on Tumblr anymore. So that's why it's important to migrate that following early. Make sure you're getting them to those platforms that are hot and growing right now. Yeah, I think it's a little short-sighted. I mean, I think
What's a little short-sighted?
If you aren't trying to migrate to other platforms, platforms have a lifespan, and they live and they die. And while, okay, I can understand the argument if you're like, I have a massive Instagram following, why would I want to start a Tumblr? Sure, maybe starting a Tumblr doesn't make sense for you. But getting people over to Snapchat, like I think that's actually really important, because what happens in 3 years if nobody cares about Instagram anymore? Then you're stuck in this position again, a similar position that I was in of like, I have all these followers on this platform that people don't care about anymore. And so now they're worthless, basically. And it's like holding stock in a company that used to be really valuable. And you think, why would I diversify my portfolio? I'm killing it with this one company. I'm just going to invest in this company and keep investing in it. And then you figure out the CEO is corrupt and your stock goes to shit and you lose all your money and you're left with nothing. Diversification is essential for any part of your life. And if you're just all in on one platform, I know that like in the short term it makes sense and it's working for you and you think, well, why am I focusing on these other things? But you don't know what can happen. And it happens really quickly. And you'll get to a point where if you have an active following right now that is engaged in what you're doing, now is the time to move them to other platforms. But if you're moving them to another platform, make sure you're giving them something different. Make sure if you're moving them to Snapchat that you're showing them something that's interesting and unique and different. Don't do the thing where you post to Instagram stories and you post the same thing to Snapchat. I see a lot of influencers just exporting their Snapchats and putting it onto Instagram stories. I can't understand why you would do that. It's a terrible experience for your followers. It's got to be boring for you to do the same thing twice. So make sure you're using those platforms in a unique way and that they're providing value on their own. Look, we're done, I'm going to take this very nice brand new houndstooth suit and I'm just going to walk around and feel good. There's nothing like the first day that you're wearing a new piece of clothing that you love. You just feel like walking around New York City and being like don't I look awesome? Please look at me. So that's what I'm going to do. So I don't know what y'all are doing, but cheers.